To the hundreds of civilians that died under horrible circumstances of fate, the thousands of Yazidis enslaved and killed, the volunteers who left home to fight for equality in another nation, and to the Epigé and the 741 female fighters that died during the siege of Kobanê, I will make sure your story is told. November may be a month for Thanksgiving, but to some, it's the month to remember Kobanê. Kobanê is a land of historic value and one of the bloodiest conflicts. You can see the beautiful peaks where they say Noah beached his ark, grassy fields of the lands of the Euphrates and the Tigris River. It was a hub for villages combined into a city with thriving history. But as they say, blood makes the grass grow, and these grass fields are no exception. For you all, capture is not an option. All the men and women fighting were given savior rounds. 3 rounds, 3 different calibers of weapons commonly found out there, to end yourself instead of being captured. A final fuck you to the savages that want to take away freedom. As you step through the streets, you will see comrades who have used their savior rounds, but many, like Comrade Joanna, swapped out their rounds for a grenade as their final way of meeting the end. The same fate became true with our commander at the time, Ademir Khan, when she gave her life charging down Mr. Hill, blowing herself up along with ISIS soldiers. And ISIS, these men and the female enablers that support them, are only looking to ostracize, bastardize, and alienate people from rights they were given at birth. Training kids to kill, females to force hate on other women, and brainwashing men with an ideal that everyone who does not believe in their tenets are merely property. I know there has been a war against the American-born monsters in Afghanistan, but even ISIS is seen to the Taliban as barbaric. They sent bombardment of artillery supported to them by NATO countries into the area, not caring if civilians were still in. To add to that, them gaining large numbers from foreigners that joined their crusade. But yet the foreigners joining the Kurdish side was very few. It was a surprise that there weren't thousands of people lined up to join and fight from all over the world. If everyone cared about morality as much as they say, they'd rather sit and say how horrible it is from a TV screen and shun the ones that go out to help. Kobanê looked like a surreal nightmare. Cars burnt and others untouched, houses left with personal belongings scattered, not a single home in sight was intact. These same villages where culture thrived, food was cooked, children played, and love for life was had was turned into rubble, with soldiers erasing memories faster than the rounds they sent at each other. Over 70% of the city was taken. Heavily outnumbered, and regardless of companies on each front at points being less than 50% combat ready, the world watched like a bystander watching a man getting his head stomped in, and their only action is to pull out their phone and record. The news agencies only swarmed to watch us die. The heaviest of gunfire and constantly hiding from indirect fire and very close to the enemy, that talking normally can be heard by both sides. ISIS had everything except air support, and we had to distribute our rifles based on who lived the longest. Our vehicles were all homemade, making the best of what we could manage to scrounge up, and however, if you were to talk to ones that were there, they will not explain it as a hopeless operation to free a dying city. This is because Kobanê is not just a story of hardship, but it was a turning point. Proof that Kurds and foreigners armed with nothing can do more than some of the most heavily armed superpowers. Proof that the ideology and insurgency can be stopped and freedom can be had in the Middle East. And proof that the men and women are willing to die for that freedom. Food, water, and ammunition, almost everything you need to sustain a firefight was taken, except the morale. That can never be broken. Because unlike most countries, going overseas to fight in wars that are waged by bitter old men, this truly meant something to everyone, and especially for the women fighting. And that's why we are always smiling. My time for freedom may be over, but the generations living after me will get to enjoy freedom because of the sacrifices. What is there not to be proud of? And for the international fighters, when we first came about, many would tell you that our only aim was for freedom. But as the months churned and we experienced the atrocities done firsthand by the Islamic State, there became more than one motive, slowly changing to only wanting ISIS dead, to get another chance to kill them. In many of our conflicts, and especially Kobanê, has that effect on people. Which is why so many people have passed in the city, and some aren't even from the Middle East. Some were men and women from America, the UK, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Japan, Sweden, Denmark, and many other countries. And I've buried both Kurds and internationalists. I feel people truly die when you forget about them. Their stories are brushed off. Their faces and actions aren't being plastered. It is never a bad day to talk about Kobanê. Our victory and how we went to liberate many cities from these people afterwards. Jinjian Azadi. And to all the fighters, men, women, foreign and domestic, I will make sure that you all live on.